Hello and welcome to the weekend. Fantastic to see so many of you come up and say hello. Join them. Great to get a bit of feedback. If you didn't get to come there, we've got a couple of videos we did so we can show you tomorrow, Thursday. So they are there. Right, but great to talk to so many people. And it's actually nice to be out. All right, that makes sense. So it's quite nice to do that sort of thing. Colwyn, you're doing the videos and the camera a bit here today with me. All right, so Colwyn's got an out this weekend. Colwyn, where are you going?
Going to Sweden this weekend. We're going to a company called Swedenros in Vaxo in Sweden, and should be there demonstrating and playing with timber.
So there you go. If you can get to Sweden, okay, he will be there. I'm so jealous. I mean, it's never right. It's okay. I went last time. Right. So, all right. So today, what we're going to try and do, I'm going to go back to if you're beginning bits a little bit. You bought a lathe, want to turn a bowl. What do you need to do? I'm not going to worry too much about the sanding, the polishing, all that. I want to go over basic tool stuff. Your position, where you stand, how you use the chisel, all those little bits. So hopefully it's going to work. We've got our piece of wood on the lathe. I've got to do a lot to it yet. So this misconception of certain people that you find a log and you cut it into 4-inch lengths and you mount them on the lathe. No, that's not going to work as a bowl. So a piece of wood here, we've got a piece of sycamore, do a little bit of prep. So I think let's have a look on camera free for this a minute. So we have a little bit of prep, as I said, so rectangular block. There's a bark edge. I'm going to take this off down there. So that's the edge of the tree, the bark. Okay, done. On here, we've got a plank. So the plank would run longer. So the logs laid on a sawmill, cut into planks. From my point of view, we then draw a circle out on it and we cut it out. Cut the corners off. So our grain direction now is running over here. Quite an important part, but it's not all end grain. The end grain bit, if you want to see it, there's there. Side grain. End grain. Heart bit there. So I can see that little heart shape. That's just on the edge of it. Round to side grain again. So we get end grain fibres and side grain. Underneath, got that heart that comes out. A few features in here. All right, so a bit of sycamore. Centre dot I've got there was where I put my dividers in to scratch out. Now, how are you going to hold this on the lathe? What are you going to use? What could we use? 3 or 4 things in reality. Let's go through a few things. Put pillar in here because it's quick. Screw chuck. All right, I think you will have seen we use the screw chuck, Colwyn's favourite item, because it's quick and simple to load. No screws, no screwdriver. Great. But you need to think about the size of what you put onto this. Now, this is a 12x3 bowl blank. And my sort of point of view, this is a bit big to hang on that single screw. You might get away with it. Depends on how confident you are with the tools. You can bring the tailstock up. That will add a bit of support. The advantage with the screw chuck, it is one centre hole. So if you're doing something as a hollow pot or you don't want screw holes in the surface, it can be good. All right, so screw chuck's a no-no on this one. We could go faceplate ring. That can be used with the chuck jaws, so that'll screw down. If you haven't got a faceplate with your lathe, really good way of going. Right, so faceplate ring. We can use dedicated faceplate. Most lathes come with a faceplate. These tend to be machined. They tend to be nice and flat. All right, you can get cast iron ones. You can get aluminium ones. Steel ones tend to be a bit more weight, a bit more rigid. They have a series of holes depending on the size. So it's worth looking at different sizes again for different projects. If I wanted something with a small bowl hollow in the middle, I could use smaller faceplate and screw this on and get 4 or 5 screws on compared to the size of our screw chuck, that's 1. So there can be a bit more support on there, a bit more hold. We're going bigger bowl, we could go larger faceplate. So that's beneficial. It's going to add more support. It will also help you balance things out. So a couple of things that can cause imbalance before you even start on this. So piece of oak, not as big. How flat is it? When timber seasons, it will cut and warp. So this has got quite a twist. If I can put my hands up here, I think you can see what I can do with the ruler. Look at this, very badly twisted. Doesn't mean we can't use it. It just means we've got to think about how we fix the faceplate. If I fix the plate on the top, I've got this problem, this wiggle. Got to get it located. I could bring the screw holes parallel, lock it down, and then the guys that watched a couple of videos, I think they probably did about a year ago, work holding on the lathe. One of my little tips, use some washers. So just standard washers. You can double these up if you want. You're going to put your screw down through the middle, help balance it out. So prop them in underneath, screw down through the center of the washer that holds it in place when it's spinning, help you balance it out. The nice thing about doing that, you can load it onto the lathe, check how you're balancing to get maximum thickness out the blank. So you might actually have to put it on, screw them on, put it on the lathe, see what happens. Take it back up, put another washer on one side, prop it up a bit. Can take a little bit of effort, but definitely worth doing. You'll get more thickness out of your material. Back to our bit of sycamore. So in here, we've got center mark. I can drop over, I can look down through. That doesn't look bad. I can use a measuring stick, a pencil. How about just working around from the sides? Quickly go around, kind of get a guide of a bit over. Get your accuracy. That's not bad. Quite quick and easy to do. Going to screw this on. Screw size. These are just over inch. 30mm, I think. All right, inch and a quarter. I've got 4. Depending on the size of the blank, look at how many screws you need. Look at the length you want. That's shifted just a little bit. Look, I can see from looking down on my dot, that tweaked over a little bit. So I'll pull it back, go to a different hole. So I'm going to use 4 screws. Pull them on. Check they're tight. Lose our tray, get that out of the way. Now we're going to load the work on the lathe. I want to do one other thing, and I think Cohen, you can probably say on here I've got start box, control box. I've deliberately put it high up on the headstock as a reminder for something else that we need to do. I think I was probably the last person to use the lathe last week to do some prep to go to Maker Central. I needed it on high speed to do what I was doing. This is a 12x3 bowl blank. It weighs a little bit, can be a little bit torque. So I know I need to change the belt setting. And this is an interesting conversation we get with people, but the lathe's electric variable. Yes, it is. I want to get maximum torque out of this. So I've opened the headstock, moved the belt over, repositioned it, put it back in. All right, so now we're running on slow revs or slow speed. What's that going to give me? A bit more torque. Okay, so if I put the blank on there, and got that there, I'm going to take the dial down. I can bring it up gently. Now, if we put it on that high speed setting, wow, we could have been dancing around the room with it. You also wouldn't get constant power, if that makes sense. The inverter that's on the variable speed motor here would try and deliver the power, try and draw it and deliver it to that motor. But due to that time taking quite a heavy cut, it would actually slow the motor down. The inverter try and draw more power, it will struggle to keep up. You actually will stall it. It's a bit like driving up a hill in a too high a gear, you don't get to the top. So by actually playing with that belt setting, dropping it down, I'll get more torque. So actually I can keep the cut going. I won't stall the motor. Do the lathe a bit more work, okay? Means I don't need to work as hard. So good thing to remember to do, play with your speed. Before we play around with anything else, I can take the speed up, see what's happening, control it. Great. Next thing, we've obviously got to get our tool rest in. If you're not feeling too confident or got something big and heavy on here, it can be worth just bringing the tailstock up into play. Just to add just a little bit more support. Tool rest we can put in. We've got that robust rest. We've got nice finger clearance on here of the edge. Really nice to use. So I've got that robust rest over in there. Next thing I'm just going to do, Cole was just playing with one of the cameras for me, which is great. All right, just having a look at. This is something I was thinking just as we were setting up. I'd like to just change the chuck. So this has got a set of grippers in. Change the chuck a minute. Let's see if we can get these out easier. Be good, wouldn't it? Got the C's. Hoping. Just having a look. Just want to see that one. I've got the lock screwing underneath, so I'm just checking where things are. So hoping these will come right out. That's good. Need to change those jaws. I want 2, 3, 4 of those. All right. So I've got Colwyn's holding up on the other side of the room, set of siege. Now I want to go bigger. So I'm changed for, I don't know if you can really see this, probably if we look on, we'll do it in a minute, we'll do it on 3. So I'm loading a new set of jaws. So what I've just done, so I get the spindle lock in, I can do it up on here. I don't want you all think I'm hiding out of the way with this. There's our spindle lock. So we'll put it up on there. Number 1, I can turn on, chuck round. 1 will go in there. Now initially I was going to do this with a set of C jaws. I want a bigger set of jaws. There's our start there. Just bring it back. Check that's good. Good. Number 1's in. Find number 2. Locate it. Bring it up to the start of the scroll. Back it back just a little bit. 3. There's our start point. 4. Nice and easy to change. Bring it in. Number 3 is not engaged. I can see that it didn't move. Bring it back. There it is. Pull everything together. So hoping it's all going in. We'll find out. Bring it down. So it closes. Check what happens. That's nice and easy to do. Now I put a set of, I think these are mega jaws. Quite large. I'm going to use large foot on the lathe on the bowl. I'm going to try and explain different ideas for bowl shape. These have 4.5 as an internal diameter. So quite large as a size compared to the C jaws. If I'd expanded it into the recess, about 2.25 inch, 62, 63 mil. So I've set that up, played around with the chuck. Let's start out here. I've set it up. So we've got our tool rest we've set about. Where's it need to be? First thing, try and get the banjo as near to the workpiece as you can. Not further along the lathe bed. Try and work as near to the pin on the tool rest as you can. That's about adding strength. Turn the work over by hand. It's all simple, obvious things at the moment. I know. Check everything's locked off. Even the back handle, if you've got a swing headstock on the lathe, important to lock off. Next and most important thing, and I've already done it. You're going to use a chisel. Make sure it's sharp. If you're unsure about sharpening, we've done videos on that. There's loads of advice on that. Try and get one nice clean bevel. I don't know if we can see in here. So I've used tarmac, diamond wheel. I polished the edge. Got a nice sharp edge before I start it. I want to make my life easy. One clean bevel is paramount. So again, we turn over by hand. Put the lathe on. I can gently increase the speed. I've got the tailstock in place just to add a little bit of support and bring the lathe speed up. I go too quick. On the advantage of electric variable speed lathe, I can bring it up. Yeah, that's quite good. Getting a bit scary now though. Making more noise. Let's just back it down a little bit. We're not moving around the room. So that's quite nice. Electric variable gives you just that little bit more control. So we're done. Next thing on here, my approach with the chisel. Finger and thumb on the left hand. So expect corner. We go to camera 4. I've got finger and thumb on the tool rest on here. My gouge, I can drop on the top. My flute is facing me directly at the moment, 12 o'clock. What I'm going to actually do is make contact with the work and roll the handle. So the flute will actually go over towards 3 o'clock. All right, so up right there, bring it over. Then I can find my cut, move across. Next thing, my body stance, my feet. I've got my left foot slightly forward. Right foot is going, almost making a triangle section. So my right foot is aiming off the camera when my hand's pointing. Left foot's going towards the camera in front. That's adding stability. What I don't want to be doing is standing here with my feet together with the flute dead upright and trying to move the gouge just along the tool rest. The shavings are going to come up at me. I have to stop talking. Next most important thing, we are using a bowl gouge for bowl work. We are not using a spindle roughening gouge. Big U-shaped section. We've gone over this quite a few times. I don't know if we want to have a look. Let's just, where are we there? All right, bowl gouge, spindle roughening gouge. This is a no-no for you for your bowl work. unless you're really, really confident. And I've seen a few guys play with these, fantastic, yeah, but if you get it wrong, it's scary. So stick to your bowl gouge. All right, so on. Finger and thumb, I can rest the bevel. I've dropped the handle down. My feet are at that triangle shape. I can bring the bevel on, I can roll it. I get my cut. I'm going to push across. All the shavings now are going away from me. They're going down on the floor, heading away from me. Nice long stream of shavings. I'm naturally right-handed, so the handle will drop down on my leg. Finger and thumb, touch what's going on, back to the start. So I've taken the gouge off, I need to refind it. Flute up to me, gently rotate the handle. Get a shaving, push across. All the way off the edge. One more. Got my angle from the last cut. The shavings are getting more constant. Not too much force. Just let the tool run along the rust. Need to have a look and see if it's round. While we do that, I'm going to grab some of this. Look at these, right? Nice long stringy shavings. They've gone down the floor, not lots of little chips coming up in your face, which is off-putting. Definitely got to wear some goggles. Face visor is even better if you're unsure, okay? Dust marks, paramount as we get going, this sort of thing. And here we're trying, obviously, with the camera and everything else, and the mic makes it more difficult. Now bring it in. Lovely long shavings on that first cut. Just want to bring the Torres back. Just looking at the chuck size we have. So I said 110. Half 110, 55. About there. Take the speed just down. I've taken the tailstock out. Confine the middle. Want to draw a line. So I've created just a guideline on there where my chuck foot's going to be. How big it needs to be. So we've got that line. Let's just draw a pencil line on there. Now we could do, and we use them a lot, our C-jaws. Now I originally thought about using the C-jaws, but it's quite a small size to expand in. This is quite a large bowl. The bigger the diameter of the jaws you can grip with, the less leverage you're putting on this small diameter in the center. Also, by having one big solid foot on the base, I've got less chance of joining the funnel club on camera. All right? I don't do that, I promise. So first thing I'm just going to do, whilst I've got the tailstock just out of the way, I'm going to go with a parting tool. I'm going to create a break line. I'm going to bring our speed just up a little bit. Do a straight cut, nearly 1/4 inch deep. Just going to bring the tailstock back in. Just need to come back a little bit. It's giving me room to get the banjo and the tool rest in where I want. That's better. I'm going to do what we class as a pull cut. So with the gouge now, flute is actually going to face the workpiece pretty much. So 12 o'clock is dead upright. We're aiming for about 10 o'clock. We're not resting the bevel. If you try and rest the bevel with this type of cut, it's going to snatch all that in one heavy go. You're not going to control it. That's a big bite. Okay? Won't like that. So actually, we're not resting the bevel. We're going past that bevel rub situation, which would be at 11 o'clock. I've come right round to 10. We're going to pull the chisel outwards from that point. From there, come back. Now with my feet, my right foot is actually forward. So I can shift my body weight to my left foot, which is in behind. It's a bit like going for a run, if you like. A little bit of bounce towards the edge where we're flattening off that surface. A little bit more to go. I know what it is. Oh, bring that out. Lots of waste coming off. At this stage, it doesn't look pretty. Bit of torn grain, lots of tool marks. This is no bowl shape, so don't get too paranoid with that aspect. A crack in there, I've got to keep an eye on where that's going to go. Heart shake here, heart's coming over. So now we can start to build the shape. At the moment, we've defined what we need. We have a foot for our bowl, our canvas now, so whatever shape we want. So we're going to knock this off, this corner. I just brought the tool rest round. My feet, again, are spread so I can shift my weight. So I'm actually now facing the lathe diagonally on that corner towards the corner that you're looking at here, where my finger is. So my feet are stood there, handle down low. We're using the side ring again. And we're working from the tailstock, if you like, up towards the rim. Gently pushing round. Again, not too worried at this moment about finish. So I don't have the camera will pick up, but we've got quite a lot of lines through here, some ridges, not very clean. But this is about quick bulk removal. The other thing that's nice to do at the moment, if you're watching where we're doing, we're using side ring on the gouge. We haven't used the chip yet. So our pull cut, our side edge, we've used the other bit. I can use the chip then to clean up with. So we've got 3 or 4 places on the gouge that we can use to get the best out of. So when I sharpen it, I work around different areas to use all of those areas I've sharpened. So you get a bit more work out your gouge, if you like. Let's take the tailstock back out the way. We want to take the tailstock centre out, so just wind this back. Then you want clearance. Now on here, you've got that aspect of got to move. So if this gets in the way, it's not going to help you. So if you're new to this and you're thinking buying a lathe, whatever, check you can take the tailstock off. It's minor little thing, but if you're going to do a bowl, most of you, that's what you want to get into, turn a bowl. We need to have movement down here for my arm. If I can't move my arm freely and not clash with the tailstock, or if you like, bring the chisel round, you're not going to turn your bowl very easily. So something that you can just literally take that off, put it out the way, fantastic. If you've got swing headstock lathe, yes, you could swing it round. Only downside to that is you can't bring the tailstock in to have that little bit of support. So think about those little things. Oh, a bit of wood then, where are we? Let's see what we've got to clean up. A bit wild, this. So go first, we want to clean up platform. In there, where we got that recess. In here. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to rest the bevel with the gouge. I want my handle, and I'm working now towards that foot. Got to stop just short. I can roll the gouge right on its side. So over to 3 o'clock with a flute. Different shaving to what we were just doing a second ago. Different types of things. So really fine, lacy type shaving, much finer cut using the tip, side wing, much heavier. So we've got the platform now. That platform allows me to get the gouge in here, rest the bevel. So with the tip, we start to drive round. Now my handle's got to move. Coming into my body. Got to keep it moving. Now if I don't keep it moving, or I move my left hand too quickly on the tool rest, I lose the cut. So I've got a nice clean finish here, didn't get all the way up to the rim. I pulled my left hand along a bit too quick, cut fades in. Everything's got to correspond with where the handle moves, keep the bevel resting. We're not dragging a knife edge, which means there's a gap between the ground edge behind the bevel and the workpiece. That's going to give us lots of little lines. Got to sit on with that bevel, drive it round. It's almost like putting a train on a track. Next thing, why we go in that direction? Could you not come from the rim down to the base? Okay. Think. Let's have a look. Cohen, can we go to 3, please? Our polishing mop. All right, we use lots of these. I've drawn my grain bit on here. So we have grain coming down through, and grain there and there, side grain there, there. Exactly what you have in your bowl. If we try to come from the rim towards the base, look what happens with those fibres. We fold them over, they curl in. You don't sever them off nicely. They fold, so you don't get a clean finish. If we cut into them, what's behind them supports them until you get to the top corner, which you're going to clean off from the other side. So that direction of working from the base to the rim is so important when you're playing with cross-grain material. All right, so got to go that direction if you want a clean finish. All right, let's see if we can drive out a bit more. I brought my tool rest up a little bit and in a bit more. Cut down the overhang, rest the bevel again. Where can I start? There. We're using the tip of the gouge. We're controlling it. Left hand is supporting. So, go to there, take off. Now, I've got to go a bit careful because I've got the sycamore heart in here. It's nice and hard. So I need to move round. I've just moved my body. I'm going to explain that in a second. So, come round. My left hand, as we said, is support only. So at the moment, I'm pushing up against the wall that's here. We're driving round. So my fingers on the left hand really are just trying to guide it. Again, much finer type of shaving. I can see where I start and stop trying to explain things on camera. Got little lines appear where I kept the tool still. It's really important to keep things moving, constant, get your shape. Next thing that's important, where you're going to go from here. Depending on your ball shape, will determine where you can stand. My best advice I can give you, if you want to get into this, is think about where you need to finish with the chisel. That makes sense? So our bevel rub means the handle is in that position. Probably 4 Cohen, I think, for a sec. Just have a look on there. So you can see I've got my handle right out there. I now need to be able to keep my body and get comfortable with where that's going to be. So now I'm kicking the shavings off the floor, so I've got something sensible to stand on. I can rest the bevel there. Get my finger and thumb in there. That feels right. My right foot, actually, I can push forward. So I've just moved my right leg in that little bit so I can put my weight on my right foot. I can start my cut from there. I can drive round. As I come round here, there's nothing hindering the movement of that handle up to the top. My left foot's already in the position where I need to be, so I can move my weight between the 2 right feet, but not block anything. What's going to block it? Must be that meal I had Saturday night. I mean, so if you're too close in here, this is all going to get in the way. So you've got to get ourselves out of the way to allow this to fluidly move. And it takes a bit of thinking about. And like I said, if you can go to your end position and position the gouge, rest the bevel, see where things are, fantastic. Then play with your feet. Can I lean forward on my right foot to get to there, drive around nice and easily? Now let's have a go. Onto there. I'm going to clean up a little bit of my platform again. I can take the speed up a little bit because we're helping balance things now. Go to there, rest on. Gently drive. So weight on my right foot, bringing my arm back into my body. So right hand, left fingers and thumb are pulling along the tool rest, continuing the shape. The handle is coming into my body. I'm shifting my weight now, my left foot, so I can get all the way around in one fluid movement. Okay. don't turn and dance at the same time. It's very tricky to do. So keep your feet still. That's not looking too bad. Go down to here. Going to level the bottom of that bit, which is the saw material. Now, when we started, I said about things, if they were really cut across here and we put the rule on that bit of oak, I'd do exactly the same way. I would crank my foot, and then the only bit I've now got to level is that smaller diameter, not the whole diameter of the blank. If you level the whole diameter of the blank, you might be losing quite a lot of thickness. So this can be good just to level this bit off. Find our center. I can see a little dot there. Again, I brought the tool rest round, so I'm trying to cut down the amount of overhang. I just need to clear the dust. That's better. Just going to press that one on there. So tip of the gouge. I've rested the bevel. Now, I got quite sneaky there. And maybe that's experience. How do you know where to drop in on this? What are you going to do? If you drop in too steep and not rest the bevel, you're going to have problems. I can emphasize that beautifully if we come to here. I can make you the most amazing spiral that will come from center outwards. Find our pencil. And you guys out there with a little bit of experience, I hope you're putting, yeah, we've done this. You end up with that snail shell that comes from the center out. So you haven't rested the bevel, you drop the gouge on, it'll bite, pull it out. On here, if I want to find my cut position, I need to rest the bevel. So, easy way, come inside. That's my edge, that's where I want to start. I've come in quite a lot. Okay, so we're a good inch in. Make contact, bouncing about because it's not level yet. Bring the handle up and away from the bevel. So I'm coming diagonally, seesaw action pushes the tip down. There's my cut. I can slide it back up the edge, select how much, drive across. So I tested the water before we just hit it. Go to the middle. I bring the handle up, too high, we drop in under it, too low, over the top. So I can adjust the height of the handle, and I've got the gouge right over at about 2 o'clock. So the flute's at 2 o'clock. Get to the middle. This is also important, that little bit of moving up and down. Okay. Carwyn's got a question. Uh-oh.
So I've saved a few of these questions up, so we've got a few of them. So your stance and your movement, is that the same for every tool?
No. You need to think about where you're trying to go with the tool, how stable you need to be. Trying to break down the foot thing with you today, really quite interesting to think about where you stand to do these cuts. Your body stance and getting your feet positioned is so important. Trying not to block the chisel. That's so important. So things like getting the bevel resting at the top here, maximum rim, know where you've got to be as you're in position, then reaching round, great. You can do that with quite a few tools, but definitely with your bowl gouge. Stability is the number one thing as well on this, okay? So you've got to be stable on your feet, all right? Go on.
Yeah, we got another question here. This is from Derek, and I've just checked this, if you didn't know. Derek's asking, he wants to buy the 250mm button jaws to use with his SK100 chuck on the AC370.
Which is the red,
the floor
so the
standing.
10-inch will fit on there.
Yes,
yes,
yes.
They will.
I've just double checked
right.
it while you were working, so that's all good there, Derek. You're
so
good
yeah,
to
the
go.
10-inch ones will fit on there. Now, it's an interesting thing because I actually looked earlier and I've set them up for the button jaws to fit on here. We use them for this lathe, all right, for this bowl later. So let me just move the tray that we threw down on top of them earlier. Move the cable under the turn. So Colin, probably want to go back to number one. Look. So I put these on. I've set them up so the bowl, when we get to the end, if I want to put them on this, I can. These are 16-inch diameter. This lathe takes 16-inch. So I've had to position them to the maximum diameter. And when they make these, they take a good quarter to half-inch out. I don't know exactly how much, okay? But definitely quarter of an inch. Probably a little bit more on these. So I position them on the lathe to see where I can get my buttons. And it's tight. If I'm hoping I've taken enough off the rim. If I haven't, it's going to be tight to get these on and get the bowl on, and then I'll move all the buttons again. So it is one of those things. All right. But yes, that will fit. The tonnage ones will fit that lathe nicely. All right.
Yeah, it's just one more. This has started quite a lot of conversation, so we're going to let the conversation go. But I would say, who's asking it? So without doors, is asking questions on sharpening and what type of sharpening system to go for. What I would do is just send us a separate email on that one. We'll give you a proper lengthy answer, and we'll continue letting the chat fill you in on their preferences as well.
All right. So this is a weird thing. All right. Me and Cohen, and you can kick me in a minute, right? You can interrupt. When we both started here, I'd learnt to freehand sharpen. Cohen, freehand?
Freehand sharpening.
Oh, okay. So we both learnt freehand sharpening. You can put me on a grinder, I can sharpen a tool. But now I've become a bit lazy. And over the years, we kind of had that conversation. I went, some of the guys, when they start doing this, become despondent and lose the interest in the bit they enjoy, which actually is this. I want to make shavings. Okay? I want to make something. You don't have to be a professional grinder to do wood turning, is a sad way of phrasing it. But back then, that was almost the scenario. You had to be able to sharpen things really well to get things to work. And sharpening the tool is paramount for doing what we're doing now. If it's the chisel isn't sharp, it's not going to cut. So my advice nowadays, go buy yourself a sharpening jig. Get yourself something set up so you can make it repeatable, easy, and quick. Because actually, the bit you enjoy is this, not playing with a bench grinder, trying to get your tool sharp, trying to get rid of those multi-facet things. At home, I have a mixture of different things. I've had a tool mech for years I have used really with my hand planes and chisel stuff. But now I've started using my turning tools, you could put diamond wheel on it. I love the fact with the diamond wheel that I don't have to adjust the bar, the wheel doesn't wear, but I'm using it purely to touch up with. On the other side of the room, I have my grinder with a CBM wheel, but I still have a tool mech set up on there that makes it repeatable. So actually, I can go from one to the other if I like. Maybe I've become lazy, but it makes it quick for me. It means I can get back to the bit I enjoy, definitely, which is going back to cutting the timber. All right, so sharpening is the biggest, and yes, we will do a few videos, I think, on there. Now, my shape's not bad here. We've got quite flat, little bit of a hollow here. By not doing a recess in the bottom of the base here and expanding the jaws in, I haven't cut a recess in the bottom that's more likely to join from the other side. The funnel club scenario. By having a big solid foot, I also am adding more strength than expanding in and having a little narrow wall. I've seen lots of videos online where people got like this half-inch band around the edge where they've done a recess to put the chuck in and you're expanding into it. If you catch the chisel or anything badly, going to break. Or they've got a big bowl, small foot because that's the size of the jaws the chuck has, and they break it off because it's short cross-grain material. Got to think about what you're resting on there, okay? Now, not too bad there. I've got one area I need to get into. The jaws I've got have a dovetail shape on the inside. So I'm going to use skew chisel. Point of, I can cut an angle. Get right into that corner. I'm going to use my skew now. Blend in that curve. I can clean right up into here. So if I was doing this at home, I'd be working exactly the same way. I'd take a bit off there. Well, if you need to tidy up something out here, I've got a line out on the edge about. You can see it up here. Right up on here, I've got to change of direction. I can use my skew for that. And it's a bit weird. There's a couple of tools I could use for this. I can shear scrape my skew chisel. So I'm not holding this flat. I'm holding it about 45-degree angle, pinch between thumb fingers. I've got a diamond burr on the edge. So by that, it's sharpened with a diamond burr just to produce a light burr. Why am I doing this instead of a gouge? This is a lighter cut than I can produce with my gouge. And we're getting this stuff. All right, so I can blend things together, get it nice and clean, remove minor little imperfections. Right, okay. Well, I thought, good thing to do at this stage. You get this thing, and you check it's going to fit. Now, at the moment, from a quick glance of what I did then, I might be too big. I am. All right, we can take a bit off, which is a good scenario. It shows you, and one of the things I'm going to, didn't want to be too big for this, because there is nothing worse than getting to this stage, sanding it, doing everything else, take it off, put the chuck on, take the screws out of the faceplate, and then go, it doesn't fit. There's nothing more infuriating. So, at least at this stage, I've not taken anything off the lathe. We can make it a bit smaller. So, back in again. Easy to make it smaller. Then check, will it go? All right. So I know we've wound those jaws out quite a way. I wanted them a bit bigger than what we've got, but that'll do. Tiny bit more off. Again, that skew chisel is allowing me to use a bit like a parting tool, but I can also get right back into that corner, get it clean. Goes on. All right. So at this stage, from at home, now I start my sanding. Not going to do any sanding with this. I'm trying to concentrate more on tool use and everything else. So we've got end grain, side grain, end grain, side grain. The end grain's a bit to pay attention to. The fibres beyond the middle here are getting shorter because of the curve. They're likely to fold over, not cut as cleanly. So you need to pay attention to those. Start coarser than maybe you think you're going to need. A 100 or an 80 grit will do less heat damage than, say, a 150. It will take less time to get rid of the bad things, the tool marks, the torn grain, then go up through your grades. So it's a case of trying to think of what's going to happen. Reduce the lathe speed, reduces heat. Okay, so if you run the lathe too fast when you sand, you get lots of little white end grain shakes. That's heat damage. Wood in the UK is a really good example of that. So we take our screws out. Put the chuck on. Probably going to need a longer key just to get into this. Do it up. Check the lathe speed down. So bring it back down. If you've got variable speed, check how things run. You're checking the bit you've sanded and polished or turned. Not this edge. We haven't done this yet. It's not going to be level. Bring it over a bit. Where to start cutting and what to do. This is always a bit of a dilemma when we've done this as a teaching session. My favourite tool to start this bit with, parting tool. Huh? You've got to be kidding me. Why do you want to use a parting tool? Now, this doesn't have to define my rim, but this will allow me to cut a groove. And do a couple together. At the moment, the rim section outside this I've left quite thick. We can go narrower. So why have I done that? Because if you go to start and you're going to start hollow in the middle and you get this wrong, let's see if I can draw a spiral. Now, I don't know if you'll see it on the camera, but I'm pretty sure, again, if we threw that question up there, how many of you have dropped the gouge and it's winched it out for you? You produce this lovely snail shell, comes all the way out. Well, at this point, I drop into my groove. So it's actually acted as a safety net to stop me damaging what I've already sanded out on the rim here. So it just acts as something to stop the chisel. If you don't get your bevel angle right on here, you come in too steep, it'll winch out. So that's acting as that safety net for you. do a small little thing. Gouge, can start middle. I'm lining up the bevel angle with the direction I almost want to go in. I come down the gouge side. Let's see if my... That's better. Got that lovely big foot that's taking a lot of support. To roll the flute a little bit. Get to there. Handle goes right out wide. We drive round. Get to here. Now my feet at the moment, again, I've got that corner position. So right foot is facing towards the front camera out here. Left foot's parallel with the lathe bed. So I've got a good bridging position. Shifted my weight to my right foot. Handle's gone a long way out. Come round. I'm swinging my weight now between my 2 feet. Next one. So I'll move my right hand round, left hand over the top, bringing the flute up just a little bit. Slam again, going in. Lots of shadings off this. Okay, do a quick look on here, give you an idea of what we're taking. Quite big wide shaving, some of these almost 1/2 inch wide. Get away with that big heavy foot that we put on, adding lots of strength. So great for that. Our fingernail shape, really working for us so I can do that long cut. We go to the camera so I can look a little bit in. What have we got? Probably 2 Cohen, I think. Getting a lump in the middle. Why? Why are we getting a lump? Okay, just leave 1, 2. Let's just go around from here. It won't take such a heavy cut. Go from there. Look at the handle edge comes round. Handle's coming in. There. There. As far as I can get, Neil. I've got to go on a diet, Cohen. All right, so this is now getting in the way. So I get as far as I can go without having to move and walk. Don't move your feet trying to do this. It's going to become problematic, okay? So I can now reposition and start to take the lump out the middle. So on here, got a couple of options. Which way should we go? We're going to go towards the middle. Tip of the gouge, I've changed body stance a little bit. I've come back away from the lathe. I can rest the bevel. Go across to the centre. Handle up or down, I can make points with the centre tip to line up with the middle. So I roll the flute, the gouge, I can change the cut. And that's something that comes with experience. Just this little bit of control on the right handle. Twisting that round, look at my hand moving there. And play with the cut. Bring the flute up just a little bit. Across the middle. Bring the flute up just a little bit, get a bit of bounce. Bring the handle up just a tiny bit. What have I got in the middle there? Something really wild in there. Nice and slow. So a quick look. Okay. Got that lovely sycamore heart. Nice and hard. So get the shape, I can rest the bevel again. So I brought my body back. I brought the flute up just a tiny bit. Across the middle. Have a look, have a feel. Now at the moment I'm using fingernail shaped gouge. Do have in here, let's have a quick look. I think Colin probably on overhead. Let's just do this one, then we'll have a look at your thing. So what we've been using, fingernail shape. Tormek setting, this is jig setting, I think it's number 4, 55, 65 protrusion, jig number 4, but it'll give you a 55-degree bevel. I've softened the back corner. So if you have a Tormek and you have this running away from the wheel, so the lower position, you can take the corner off. But easy to do on a bench grader by losing that hard corner right on the back here. Taking that line off allows it to glide around a bit more, less bruising inside as a damage line. More traditional might be square-ended gouge. I hope you can see the difference there. Not my favourite thing, but I do use them occasionally to get into this sort of area in the bottom of the bowl now where I've got some wild or difficult grain. So do have a use, okay? So there are different grinds depending on what we do. We, again, covered that a while back where I brought up a picture that Alan Batty had done. Great drawing of different bowl shapes and designs, and that's all play a part in that. Colin's got a question.
Yeah, Full of Blarney just wants to know, he said, would a tool with a shorter lathe require a different stance?
You'd need to take. So, let's spin then to answer that nicely. I'm just reaching over the lathe. I'm not going to be able to take such big shavings with a slightly smaller tool. Okay? I can do exactly the same stance. I can find it really nice to go with 1/4-inch bowl gouge to clean up some of the inside here, but I've definitely got to do something there. Now, one thing I haven't done, and you saw a bit of this going on, me trying to control the handle. What could we do? Sensible thing. Bring the tool rest in. Cut down the leverage as much as you can be good. So, we have smaller chisel. 1/4-inch bowl gouge. Can we do this? Can we do that as a cut? Okay. We won't get such a heavy cut. Body stance, right foot forward. I'm in. So I've got a towel getting thin around here now. So I can still go across. I'm working it the same way, still using the end of the handle as leverage. But I can't do that big heavy cut. So quite interesting when you start looking at what people use as gouges. Why are there different sizes? Something maybe is bulk removal, something bigger, something much smaller to do the refinements and cleanup. There are different things there that will do different tasks. All right, so I use my 1/4-inch gouge a lot, especially in my bowl work. I've done all the hard work. Now, this rim bit we still haven't levelled. I could have levelled earlier. We could leave it this width. Weird grip on here. I tend to put my hand round the tool rest. I can rest the bevel, 1/4-inch gouge. I've dropped the handle right down. I can rest the bevel, no cut. Bring the handle up. There's my shaving. Drive off the edge. Push across. Blend it in. Go back. Work on our shapes. I'm using left thumb. Push things through. Nice and controlled. I wonder if we can use that. Let's have a look. Square shoulder, that might look quite nice. So smaller gouges will definitely have a turf. So we've got little bead edge, our rim. So obviously at this stage, we'd stand up first, like change direction there, fingertips, what's going on. All right, now major thing with this, unless we really need to, I won't put a scraper in there. Colin, I know you don't use many scrapers inside your bowl unless we've really got something that's difficult to get into. So try and get as good as you can off your gouge. You're working from the rim down towards the middle. Best advice tool-wise, outside the bowl, the flute faces outwards. So I said about 10 o'clock. do the inside, the flute faces 2 o'clock, faces inwards. Okay. Colin's got a question.
Yeah, sorry. So this is Paul Kelly asking this one. Is there an advantage on using an S-shaped or bowl rest?
You can use them. I mean, we do sell some shape curb bowl rests. On a bowl of this deep, I get away with doing what I've got now. I can angle the tool rest in enough. This is quite short rest. This is, I think, 9-inch long. We can get in the banjo clear, so I can get enough into there. Some of the deeper bowls I've done, oh, definitely. I've got shape curb bowl rest to give me more support as I go down through. So you need to think about it. But it's about adding support. Drawbacks with some of the curved shape rests can be getting the shape to what you are, almost as you shape your bowl. So you've got to think about that, or you can create more overhang in certain places than others. So it can be worth looking at what you're doing, what sort of shapes they are, all right? But they do have a use, don't get me wrong. That's probably one of the reasons they're out there. Yeah, people have made them, and originally they would have been done by turners making them for themselves. So they've started producing them. All right, mate. All right, good. Right, okay. So we'd obviously sand it. We can do whatever else you want. We've got, okay, but we've done our hard work at the moment. Now, due to the fact of how I've done bottom on here, and we've got our shape, not too bad. Got this foot. We could leave it. If I can find the spindle lock, there somewhere. That's it. Take that off. Big button jaws. Put those on. Do them all the way up. Soon here we could have our bowl go in. That's good. Okay, we can put them in. Now, just while I'm tightening this up, a couple of things just to shout at you. Make sure if you buy a set of button jaws, even the 10-inch ones, so it goes back to our guy that we're on about, okay, buy a longer key. Okay, so if you buy the button jaws, you're buying the SK100 chuck, buy the longer key for it as well, because there's nothing more infuriating than trying to do half turn with a key, trying to do the button jaws up. All right, if you buy the 16-inch ones, yeah, again, make sure you get the right key. Okay, Colin.
Yeah, another question here. This one's from Frederick. Really good question, this one. How do you minimize vibration on the rim side? I noticed that you supported the edge with your left hand whilst turning.
Okay. So, valid comment. Now, in reality, if you'd ask me which way I'm going to do, I'd probably clean the rim up before I'd even hollow the inside of the bowl, because you're using the structural strength of the center of the bowl to have more support. That means you're defining the rim before you've done anything else. When I did the thin bell-shaped bowl, got to work down to the rim in short stages, sand it as you go. It's a very different technique. On something bigger like a fruit bowl, wide rim, you'll get away with it. Occasionally, you can find the material will shrink across the grain. I mean, what? You're taking out a massive material in the center of a block. So suddenly this will shrink across the grain. Wood doesn't shrink lengthwise, it will shrink across the grain. That can cause problems as well when you're turning a bowl. So if you did the rim first, it can be more beneficial. To help reduce vibration, yes, you can get your hand in behind. Support it. Don't push too hard. Advantage with going smaller gouge, from my point of view, definitely a lot less weight to support. So it's easier to balance and to control. So all those things come into it. Think about handle size that you're trying to support as well. So that can be beneficial. All right. But definitely, yes, you can use your fingers. You're not pushing too hard. Get people say, but do you burn your fingertips? You're trying to be nice and light. So you're not actually putting that much weight behind your fingertips, just about trying to support it. Okay. Other things we haven't really played with, which we could have done. Thicknesses. Calipers. I cannot live without a set of calipers. I've been quite lazy on this bowl. I've got a thickness. I know where roughly I am. If I want to be nice and accurate, I'll go in with these. Measure things. But actually, a better way of setting these up is spot check an area. Don't go moving the back and forwards to move a bit out. Or leave a gap that is thicker and move it along the workpiece so you're not scratching the outside edge. Okay? But your calipers, definitely. My best advice if you looked at buying calipers, buy the biggest set you can, because your work's going to grow as you go on. So bigger calipers will always be useful. All right. So last little bit, we put our button jaws on. If I wanted to do anything on this foot now, at the moment I've got that dovetail shape, I could refine this. We could add a curve, shape that in. It's a small, light little detail, but you can add a bit of shape to that foot. You could take the foot right off if you wanted. Sand it, we can oil it, whatever we're going to do to it. All right. So hopefully, give me a bit of an idea of things like body stance are so important when you're turning things. If you want to get your shape to continue as a curve down through, you've got to create that curve when you hollow it. I remember being asked a guy years ago, he said, I can get like a curve down to here, and then when I come across the middle, it seems to be flat. What am I doing wrong? In reality, he's not following through with the gouge. So he's doing that thing that I said when I jokingly said, I need to go on a diet. It's blocking here. Got to come back, then do that second stage. So whenever you hollow a bowl, most of us will work in a certain stage down to an area, you'll create a lump. Then you've got to reposition, get the bevel across the bottom. Think about where you are standing. Are you blocking the chisel from doing what you actually want to achieve? Think about where your feet are. Get balance first. Get those in position maybe where the chisel's got to finish, not start. Because you want to achieve that finished position, you've got to go through. So all those little things make an immense amount of difference to getting a nice bowl shape. Make it safer, make it more enjoyable. The whole comment we said about earlier, definitely about sharpening. Oh, it's paramount. All right, so we'll look at some sharpening sessions, I think, at some point. Let me just click number 4. We've obviously fade out, okay? I don't know if I can do this. I don't know what it'll do if I go down here. Okay. They're not bad. Look, can't keep looking forward. They've got a nice big pile of shavings now. All right, quite big shavings. So get nice sharp tools that will cut effectively. All right, all those little things add up. All right. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. Bit of a daunting one for me to come back from the show and get everything unpacked and start to get there. Okay, so we've done, which is great. Tomorrow we've got some of the highlights of what we did over the last few days. Colin, where are you going again?
Going to Sweden and a place called So in Sweden. So that's for the weekend. Nice show supporting a store there called Spenrose.
Fantastic event if you get to go. Great dealer to go deal with that we do. All right, there's someone that buys our stuff. And you get Colin. All right, so we will see you, I think, probably next week. If you've got questions and stuff, email us in. We'd love to have. And again, we said a few things over the weekend with the guys at Mail It In as a thing. We start looking at what we can do for you. Okay. So thank you very much. We will see you next time. Bye then.